I wonder if this past year hasn't been a sobering reminder of, okay, like,
well, I don't know. They've been worse than this. They've been older than this.
Of course
they've had worse cap implications than this.
Where have they missed expectations by this much? Maybe not since the year after they were the 1 seed in the West. And that's really what this is about. It's not that like they're awful, because they're not. If they had a few more saves, they're probably hanging on a wild card. To Rhett's point, long-term plan to just be a wild card and try to get in. But I wonder if there's a more disappointing 6 to 12 months than what this owner's watch transpire.
Boy, and you know what? You talk about missing expectations. I don't think expectations were crazy. You had a goaltender who was tremendous last year. You brought in a guy who was a perennial top 10, top 5 scorer. You had reason to believe that this was going to be a good team that would be contending for the division.
We thought it was a deeper blue line. Wow, you got like 5 top 4 guys with adding Weegar to this mix. We didn't know Shillington was going to be here, but still, you're deeper on the blue line. You're 1, 2, 3 down the middle at center ice. You're like, holy shit, like Backlund's actually a third line center now. He's going to devour those matchups, and he has. He's been great. Probably he and Toffoli, your 2 best forwards. You're okay. We got some kids that are ready to come in. Look at here's Jacob Pelche probably graduates this year. There's a lot of reason to think this team would be good. What no one saw, and we could talk about the production of free agents, but like nobody saw this team being 30th in save percentage at 5-on-5. Like what?
No, especially with the coaching and goaltender.
Team. Say it again.
30th in 5-on-5 save percentage. And so I think there's flaws with this group, and it's not a perfect roster. But if you had 15th or 16th ranked goaltending at 5-on-5, like where are you? What are we talking about? I don't know that it's the same conversation. It's really fucked them. The goaltending. And no, they're not great. Sorry, go ahead.
Play the game though, because Pinder, you understand the more you dig in more and you're nerdy with numbers and you're better at it. Put your GM hat on. What are you doing?
Well, you got a kid in the minors that's been superb stopping pucks everywhere he's been his whole life that is starting to look like, okay, graduation time is getting close. Is it this spring? Is it next fall? When you're a rookie and a sophomore and you could go theoretically back-to-back goaltender of the year, it might be time to graduate. So they got to figure out where, when, and if Dustin Wolf gets a look. And if that's the case, now you're looking at, okay, what is Markstrom? How much would you have to eat to move him? Is he a buyout candidate? And what's Dan Vladar, who when he was extended at $2.75 million a year looked like a really good backup, but all of a sudden now you're like, geez, like what? Like now he's looking like the guy that needs one more save a night, and it's only one bad month, but it happens to coincide with a month where Markstrom's not making a save. I think they got to figure out what they're doing in net here.
Are you making these guys available right now? Are there teams out there that can take on Vladar or Markstrom? Probably not for the.
Nobody wants a goalie not in form in season. In the off season, sure, but not right now. You're playing in front of a different system. You have new goalie coaches. There's that communication between D and goalie.
But Vladar, you could argue. I mean, his last 2 games have maybe been subpar, but I mean, prior to that, what was it? 10 in a row. With points.
He had a nice point streak. The numbers are like league average or a little worse. I don't know that anyone's like, hey, let's go get Dan Vladar.
No, but he's a safety net for he might be safety net for teams that anyway, I don't know why the hell I'm arguing.
I think all the contenders have backups as good or better is my thought. Like,
well, Keith Kincaid just got traded.
He's a third stringer. Yeah.
Oliver Shillington, 31 points in 73 games last year, was again, for what you say, plus 34. And I know the team was different then.
Everyone was plus.
But how are you going to ever, like you say, you bring in Weegar, yeah, but you lose another one of your top 4. You lose a top 4 guy and your goalie, the bottom falls right out. 888 save percentage.
It's getting worse.
He's AHL. What has happened?
Who saw this coming? No.
How?
Top 5 in Vezina votes 2 of the 3 seasons prior.
Gaudreau wasn't a Selke guy, nor was Kachuk. This isn't as though they went from a stout defensive team that kept shot totals low and protected their goalies, and now it's a friggin' pinball machine.
It's a similar environment, right?
Jesus Christ. It's the same
goalie,
coach,
same system, similar environment in terms of quality of chances. Maybe a little more high danger this year.
out of all the years, right? There's so you just scratch your head and you can't figure it out. Islanders thought, well, it was the road trip and the new building. Well, how'd they go from there? Well, you had some rationale.
And some injuries, yep. This team's been healthy.
The locker room doesn't seem right. I don't think the players like the coach. The goaltender has gone right off the rails.
And by the way, congratulations to Jacob Markstrom, who welcomed his first child into the world today.
Congratulations, Jacob.
I wonder what if he's been thinking about.
Well,
that.
but you know, let's not discount that. That might be a huge piece of the pressure that he's feeling. How the hell do we know, right? Like that's,
no, I'm not trying to joke about it.
There's nothing bigger in life.
I know.
I would think, Rhett, if you tried to chalk it up, I don't think he's lost the physical ability to play net. I think most of his issues are right here, right? Like between here and here. With that I'm pointing to my ears, by the way, if you're listening. Like,
that's right.
I think these are mental problems with his game, not physical ones. Would you disagree with that? Like, because I'm not making light of it. I'm trying to remind people that, yeah, like that's a big change for someone.
Not in the least. I mean, it can be, and rightfully so, an all-consuming thing. Like it's 100% something that can be. It's not bothersome. You have a different lifestyle. It's a whole different purpose with life. Everything changes. So, yeah, not easy to deal with.
You ready to not sleep?
Just wait till now. Like Christ, now the kid's here. Now, could I convince you? And I'm not trying.
Yep.
But could I convince you that the best thing for this team would be simply to run it back and say that Markstrom, Huberdeau, everything.
Maybe a Shillington, maybe a Wolf.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anomaly.
I don't
Shit year, circumstances that were out of your control. Maybe it took a year for the Gaudreau, Monahan, Kachuk, all of that to somehow iron itself out, get the room right, that too much went too badly in 1 year for this to be something that isn't just a blip.
To say it's the best course of action might be a bit of a challenge, but to think that it would be unreasonable to suggest they'd be good again. No, like where were Seattle a year ago? Where were the Devils a year ago? Where was Buffalo a year ago? Where was Winnipeg a year ago? Like we forget that year over year, there's just a lot of chaos and volatility. It's not like there's 16 well-run teams and 16 poorly run teams, and those are all your playoff teams, and these are all your shitty teams. Yeah, there's a few that linger on the same side of that line for a while, but there is huge churn every year. Like Florida. How the fuck do the Florida Panthers not own a playoff spot?
The Winnipeg one's interesting.
There's
like
lots of them, man.
If you only want to look at the goaltending, because good team when their goalie's good and struggle to get in when their goalie isn't good. And he was not great last year. And this year he's bounced back and look where they are. I don't know. I
think it's probably what this team ends up doing, because it's not crazy to think they could be better. And it's not crazy to suggest they could get better goaltending than 30th. You know, dare I say even top third, given that the coach and some of the personnel you have.
And as you said, I don't see how you trade Weegar. You can if you really want to lose.
How do you dig out of it anyway?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't think
losing a top four guy doesn't help you, especially if you don't know that all our Shillingtons come back. You don't want to play with 3 top 4D. And like Nikita Zadorov's done a lot of things. I don't want to see him in a top 4 role, because every time I do, I'm pulling my hair up.
And you got a lot left. Somehow.
Of hair.
With all the hair.
I thought you meant of Zadorov. I was getting scared. There's only one more year of Zadorov. There's a guy who can train right now.